because whatever the Fed does between now and the actual midterm election, I really hope it reduces inflation. I mean, if we just saw inflation go down by 0.5% or 1%, like that would be a huge win for everybody and including all investors in the market. But my concern, and I've repeated this, I think a couple of times with clients in our quarterly reviews, is the Fed can raise rates as much as they want to, but there's a huge dislocation between supply and demand for energy, whether it's natural gas, whether it's oil, whether it's fertilizer, you name it. There's a huge dislocation between supply and demand. So I think the energy sector itself, even though it is trading at all-time highs, and it seems like it's doing that every single day, probably will sustain that type of growth for the foreseeable future, because the Fed can raise rates, but it really doesn't have an impact on something like the supply of fertilizer or the supply of oil or natural gas.